What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Sistas on BT. This is season 3, episode 16, and the episode was titled At 7. You guys, this episode, the ending of it, I'm still reeling from the end of it because I'm just trying to figure out how I know Tyler's gonna write it to be something completely different than what it looks like on camera, right? But before we get into that, before we get into the review. If you guys are watching this video or any other, if you're watching this review or any other on the channel and you're not yet subscribed to the channel, then I'm gonna need you guys to do me a big, huge favor and stop taking me out on this date. Hit that subscribe button, the like button, the notifications are turned on, and with that out the way, you guys, without further ado, let's talk about this episode of Sistas, shall we? Okay, you guys. So this episode, we pick up where we left off last week with Zach. Finding out that Hayden has put in a backup bid on that house that looks like the outside is completely done, but the inside, never mind. When you build a house, don't they put the walls up first? Don't they build the inside and then the outside when it comes to a house? I know if you're renovating a house, yes, it'll look like that. But that house, from the outside, that house is like it's brand new. And I'm just thinking to myself, when you build a house, you start with you start with the foundation. You start with the foundation and then you build up. You would have the walls before you have a damn door. But hey, maybe it is a renovated, maybe the house, I think she did say that the house was, okay. So maybe the house was being renovated. I don't know. I'm just still stuck on that. But back to where I was talking about, we pick up with Zach and Hayden. So, the one was like, Zach was like, wait a minute, what the hell are you doing here? And she's like, do you guys know each other? Zach said no. Hayden said, a little bit. Are you guys friends? No. No. It was a back and forth if they knew each other or not. I was like, okay. I mean, they just literally went back and forth. So eventually, Zach asked the lady to give them a few minutes to talk to each other, right? So they talk, right? So Hayden wants to know, how did Zach come up with the money for this? He says, that ain't got nothing to do with you. He says, yes, it do. He's like, how does it have something to do with you? He says, it has something to do with me when you got involved with Fatima. I was like, bruh, when he got involved with Fatima was from the way Fatima told it, you guys went on one date and now you sprung. Go get some help, Hayden. Go get some help. And I was so glad that Zach put him in his place. So let's move over to the bank real quick, you guys. So over at the bank, Jacoby shows up with some flowers in his hand. Maurice, at times, he is funny. I just hate the stereotypical side of Maurice, right? But he comes in there wanting to talk to Sabrina. I'm like, Sabrina, tell him to go. Sabrina's just sitting there stuck. I'm like, Sabrina, at times Sabrina really does get on my nerves. Because you just be like, girl, you do the most for no reason. Like, come on, Sabrina. Tell the man to go. He wants to talk in private. She ain't saying nothing. Maurice is the one that's saying everything. So he eventually said, well, she said no. She did say no, but she wasn't firm in what she was saying. So then Maurice is like, you can say whatever you got to say right here. So he said, he told her, he does this quite often. He gets mad and he does stupid shit. I'm like, well, you got a problem, buddy. And you need to go get some help for that one, right? So then he wants to talk to her alone. And she's like, you know what, Maurice, you can go to the side. I'm like, no. Like, I have a big issue with Maurice and Sabrina in this episode. I have an issue with Sabrina having a conversation with Jacoby after what Jacoby tried to do to her. I have an issue with Maurice. We'll get into Maurice in a little bit. Well, actually, we can talk about Maurice. Him and Q. I have an issue with both of them. These people... Q violated you, Maurice. He held you at gunpoint. He was about to rob you. And then, Sabrina, you were about to be dealing with a sexual assault case. So I'm just kind of confused why you guys are entertaining them. But, he tells her he was so upset when he got fired. And he says he wouldn't do that to her, right? Okay, whatever. Now, I still don't agree with Sabrina firing him because Calvin came into the bank. Yes, he should have shown some restraint, right? But Calvin pushed him. Like, what do you want me to sit here? If somebody put their hands on me, you want me to just sit here and be like, oh, let me not touch this person? Like, no. I'm going to. We gonna play that game. That game we will play. If you put your hands on me, all bets are off. But let's move on. All right, guys. Next up, let's talk about Karen. So Karen took her dumb behind down to the airport, right? Now you guys remember in the last episode that Danny called Karen and told Karen, "Hey, Zach is not, Zach is leaving the airport, right? He was leaving for the day, so not to come down there." So Karen still showed up to the airport, and I'm just like, why? Danny literally told you he wasn't going to be there when you got there, so you wasted your time and your gas to drive to the airport for nothing. Oh, God. So she asked Danny to call Zach. She asked the most. Now, Karen has been asking some dumb questions here lately, right? When Sabrina and Maurice got robbed, she asked them, "Did you get robbed at gunpoint?" What else did they rob them with? A knife? Yes, gunpoint, girl. So then she asked Danny if she was sure that if uh Zach wasn't there. No, I'm just grasping at straws at this point. No, he's not here, you ding dong. So then she asked Danny to call him, and Danny said, "Girl, do you have a brain injury? Like, is that what it is, Karen?" She says, "You know what? I'm gonna call him, but after we leave here, after I get through with this, we're gonna go see a neurologist because there is something wrong with you. Like, there is literally something wrong with Karen. I'm just not understanding anything the stuff that Karen does. I'm just not understanding it, especially when it pertains to Zach. I don't understand it. I don't comprehend. You know what? It's a classic. It's the classic saying, "You don't realize what you have until it's gone," and that's really what's going on with Karen. She doesn't realize what she had in Zach until he's gone now. And the thing was with Karen, you always tore Zach down, whereas Fatima uplifted Zach. So she talks to him. Well, Danny calls him, and she gave the phone to Karen. So Karen was like, "I want to meet up with you, Zach, so that way you can tell me to my face that it's over." He was like, "Karen, I already told you that." She said, "No, yeah, you." She said, "But you were mad when you told me that." Karen, he wasn't mad the last time he told you that he's moved on from you, right? The last time he told you he was when he came to your salon with that money and that suit on, and he gave you that cheek kiss. He told you it was over then, and he was very much calm. Karen just wants the D. That's what it is. So she says, "Okay, well, Zach, will you meet me tonight so you can tell me in my face that it's over?" He was like, "Okay, Karen, where?" "Okay, will you come to my house?" "No, Karen ain't come to your house." "Well, how about the salon, Zach?" "Hell no." He was like, "Well, let's just go to Danny's." "Okay, well, Danny, can we come to your place?" Danny looked like, "Wait a minute, my place? Wait. No, 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 no. We can't do it." But she says, "Yeah." So they agreed to meet at Danny's at 7 o'clock, you guys. So then let's move over to Maurice and the bartender, right? So Maurice is telling the bartender about Q calling him, right? And the bartender feels that Maurice is going to still try to get with Q. I'm like, after the man just tried to rob you and put a gun to you, you're still going to try to, okay. Oh, God. Even after all this, Maurice still wants the D. Don't know why. So Calvin comes to the crib, right? Calvin is talking to Maurice about what Sabrina had to say. And I was like, oh, God, Calvin and Sabrina get on my nerves. Every character's relationship gets on my nerves. That is what I'll say. The relationships. The only relationship on this show that doesn't really annoy me, and it's actually kind of starting to just now, is Fatima and Zach. And we're going to talk about Fatima and Zach in a little bit, right? And it's actually, their relationship really doesn't annoy me. I just, we'll talk about it. We will get there, right? So Maurice said that Sabrina is jealous. Calvin's like, why is she jealous? Because she doesn't, I mean, she's the one that doesn't want to be in a relationship. He says, she just can't get past your kinks, you liking the dildo and all that kind of stuff, right? But Maurice tells him, hey, how about you do this? Go get dinner, wine, go over to her place. But before you do that, cook the dog some food. Oh, God. Maurice is a character. But let's move on. All right, you guys, next up, let's talk about Zach real quick. So Zach called Fatima on her office phone, right? Now, you guys remember that Fatima suspects that Hayden is eavesdropping on her phone calls. So she says, hey, let me hit you back on my cell. So she hangs up and calls him on her cell phone, right? So Zach tells Fatima that he needs to talk to her about some things, right? But then he was like, well, I'll just wait until you get home and talk to you about it. She's like, Zach, talk to me about it now. So Zach kept hemming and hawing about what to tell her. Now, we know what Zach wants to tell her. Well, he needs to tell her about the situation with Karen as well as the situation with Hayden. The issue that I have with Zach in this scene was the fact that Zach led with the wrong conversation. So he eventually said, okay, I'll tell you. He told her about Karen as opposed to telling her about Hayden. I would have led with, hey. So I went back down to, you remember, the house that I'm looking into getting, right? Like, I went back down there and your boy Hayden was there. Like, how did he know anything about that? That would have been that would have been the way I started that conversation. But no, he's led with Karen. The fact that Karen has been blowing his phone up. She wants to see him. He's agreed to meet her at Danny's place. Fatima got a little upset, right? But then she's like, you know what? Maybe that's a good idea. Because if you're really over her, that'll show that you're over her. Yeah, I mean, I just really wish Zach didn't lead with that particular conversation. It just wasn't the best idea. And Fatima can't get really upset because to this point, Fatima and Zach have not really, they haven't really said that they're boyfriend and girlfriend, right? So they're still in the beginning stages of whatever this is with them. But I get why she was upset. I get why she felt how she felt, right? Like, damn, Zach. Like, you do realize Karen still, and she said that, you realize Karen still wants you, which that is exactly what it is. Despite what Karen wants to say, Karen still wants Zach. So then we move over to the shop. So Andy goes down to the shop and non-acting Pam is there. And a guy comes in with some flowers and Pam's like, you don't want to see who this card is from? She's like, no, Pam, I don't want to do it. She says, it's from Aaron. And she's like, how do you know that? Because only him, because it's just him that sends flowers like this. He's been doing it a lot lately. So then she says that, she doesn't really trust Aaron. Neither do I. I will give Pam that one. I do not trust Aaron to save my life. I just don't trust Aaron. Period, point blank, right? So then, she says, she's talking about when Aaron's, wife came down there and boom, herself, right? And she's like, it was right there. And then Andy was like, right here? She's like, yeah. She was like, it's kind of interesting that he sends flowers to the place that his wife, boomed herself, right? So then, so she's giving her the tea. After that, Karen comes in and she's like, why come you didn't call her? Because she thinks I'm mad at her. See, the thing is with Karen, why are you mad at Andy? Why do you have this energy for Andy, right? So they go to her office. Andy apologized to her. I'm like, Andy, what are you apologizing for? You did nothing wrong. She was asking you questions about Zach and Fatima. You don't really know what Zach and Fatima are. She was like, but you know that he's living with her. You know that he's feeling her. Okay, you know that too. You saw them in the grocery store. I mean, what does Karen want? I just don't get it. I do not get it. You know what, guys? I'm going to pause here and we're going to wrap the episode up. All right, guys, and then to wrap this episode up, let's talk about Sabrina, right? So Sabrina, she makes it home and she gives Danny a call. And Danny asks her, how are you? How was Maurice? She says, we're good. So then Danny tells her about that nutcase Karen coming down to the airport wanting to talk to Zach, and the fact that nutcase Karen is going to come over to her apartment to see Zach. And then Sabrina tells her about Jacoby coming down to the bank. Then she says that his name is not even Jacoby and that he's done this before. And I was just thinking to myself, so he's done this before. His name isn't Jacoby. So did y'all do a background check when y'all hired this man? Like, did he just walk in off the street? Y'all just said, oh, you're hired. Didn't do any kind of background checks on him? Because I mean, when you do a background check, I mean, they do ask you if you went by any other names or aliases. So y'all just didn't do a background check on this man. So y'all could have had a mass murderer working in the bank, and y'all didn't know nothing about it. Okay. So then they talked about Calvin. I was like, oh God. And speak of the devil, knock at the door. Who is it? It's Calvin. Girl, stay on the phone with me so I can hear, see what's going on. I mean, he might stab you with a dildo. He might, try to choke you out with a feather. He might try to feather you to death. I was like, girl, I cannot. It was hilarious. But she answered the door. I'm like, I wouldn't have opened the door. I'm sorry. You come up to my door unannounced at night or any time of the day, you're going to be sitting outside. So she opened the door. They go inside. They talk. She asks him about Peggy. He says that him and Peggy, they've been doing this for years. I was like, oh, okay. Who cares, right? So then the episode, the end of the episode, Gary. So Gary is having his therapist over. I'm just thinking to myself, like, Gary, listen to the way that this therapist is talking to you, right? One, the therapist is talking about the fact that she thinks that Andy is trying to isolate him from people. I'm like, ma'am, how much has Gary told you? Because it's actually the reverse. Gary tried to isolate Andy from people who loved her, not the other way around. Andy is not isolating him. He's done the isolation. So then she's talking about the fact that Gary is a beautiful man and that any woman would be lucky or happy to have him. I was like, Gary, you don't hear what she's saying to you? Like, listen to the words that are coming out of this woman's mouth. Then she told him to close his eyes, right? She's like, what would happen if I touched you like this? I'm like, Gary, even a hypnotherapist doesn't touch their patients. Even a hypnotherapist don't touch their patients. Then she touched his chest and then went down his arms, right? Then she got her hands on his thighs, and she's like, "What if I did this?" and went down, and that's where the episode ended. I'm like, OMG. I know Tyler Perry's gonna write that I know it's not gonna be what we think it is. I know the woman is not, and actually, here's the thing. Gary called Andy and asked Andy, where was she? She said she was in the car and that she was 30 minutes out. The woman said, oh, that's good enough time. Good enough time for what? If you're doing a therapy session with him and supposed to be her, how was that good? Okay. That's the episode, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Leave your comments in the comment section below and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell button so you guys are notified when I drop anything else, and share the video. And until the next one, you guys, stay safe, take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.